Yeah, there's this hilarious narrative that I was trying to get with Emily. I have no interest in Justin Bieber lookalikes. It's an objective fact that Amber and Emily need to break up.
Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker's got some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into this video. And if you would like to support my tiny pullet of a channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hype this video if you can, and go check out my other videos while you're here. Okay, my nuggets. Rachel is uploading with rapid fire consistency at the moment. Now, I was actually going to make this a combined video with a crash out that Amber has just had, but after editing the bits that I want to respond to in Rachel's video, I can already tell this is going to be a very long video, perhaps a never-ending nugget kind of long video, which is great because I know that you all enjoy the really long form stuff. Now, this is a very interesting video because this is Rachel actually responding to Amber responding to Emily having emailed her. So it's very, very meta. In this video, I'm not going to be commenting as much on Keem or Amber's side of things. We actually just did a live stream last night where I went in depth about analyzing both of those, and like Keem is fascinating behaviorally to me. So we had a lot of fun. So if you want to go check out the live, I've put chapters in there so you can see where the content is. So this is mostly exclusively just going to be surrounding Rachel and the way she's responding to this whole situation. After this video, I expect that I'll go back to watching Rachel videos in live streams, because how I like to do it is I like to document the really big things in video format, where it can be all nicely edited and well thought out and things like that. And then the kind of interim catch-up stuff gets done live, which is also really fun. But it's not necessarily stuff that needs to be documented, right? We're kind of just in the state of waiting it out until she makes another big cluck up, which is inevitable, my nuggets. In fact, this one might not even be over yet. We shall see. Before I get into the video, I just want to do a quick reminder. I'm going to put a link in the pinned comments below. I'm currently running a giveaway, which is a celebration of my 10K subscribers. All you have to do is leave a comment on the live, so you don't even have to watch it, about which of my chickens is your favorite and why. The community will vote on the top comments. The 3 top comments will win a little merch pack that I've recently just launched. So definitely just trying to give it back to the community a little bit to say thank you so much for all of your support. Get in on it if you want to, don't if you don't. Either way, let's get into this video.
Hello, so in a minute we're going to watch a little bit of the LCU live stream from last night where Amberlynn Reid basically addresses the fact that her girlfriend emailed me and can't be trusted, and the fact that they're breaking up or not breaking up or whatever the hell's going on from that. But first of all, I just want to point something out which I think got missed in the live stream, which we'll watch in a second, which is that the reason I made that video and the point of that video and the reason I emailed Emily and all of that was that I was trying to prove that Amber lied when she accused somebody of kicking her.
So clearly Rachel is quite upset, and she spends a great deal of this video remaining upset about the fact that she feels that we've all missed the point. I feel like what Rachel is failing to see is a couple of points here that I will reiterate throughout the video, because she continues to give us wonderful examples of this. And that is, 1, we already know Amber's a liar. We don't need more proof. We don't need more people to point it out. And by the way, that last video was not even at us. It was clearly at new people, since she was rehashing old information she's already made videos about in the first place, which she actually proves in this video too. I'll get to that. And 2, it's coming from the wrong person. This is coming from somebody who labeled Emily a DV victim and continues to in this video. Like, in all fairness, I think that may actually be the case. I'm not here to say definitively one way or another. I wasn't in the room. I don't know the evidence. And history does suggest that Amber may have perpetrated this, but like, we don't know, right? Ultimately, we don't know. But this person who has acknowledged a DV victim relentlessly flirted with this person, leading them on to the point of predilection content being exchanged, or at least being offered to be exchanged, just to get the tea, just to make the money from this person. And not only did she do that once, she did it twice. And then not only did she share that story the first time without permission of the DV victim, but the second time she promised to make payment to that person for their story and never did. She fully reneged. So this is why, Rachel, if you're watching me, this is why we're not focusing on what you have to say, because while your message is, I think, the correct message, from what I can tell, you are the wrong messenger. And sorry, my boys have just decided to start doing a crow party nice and early in this recording for once. There's my Freddy do. You all know little Freddy. Okay, let's continue.
And throughout the entire live stream that we're about to react to, you will notice that nobody once actually addresses the fact that she lied about someone kicking her. It's not a surprise to anyone that Emily did this again and that she can't be trusted, right? That's not the thing that we should all be focusing on.
But unfortunately for Rachel, given her history, especially with Emily, that is the only thing we can focus on. When it comes from Rachel, we're just looking at this woman who disgraced herself to such a level to drag herself down and insert herself into a world that she had no business inserting herself into. That now she is part of the story. She is one of the lolcows in this story. We can't see anything else. This is why the point has been missed. And although the point might be a good point, it's always going to be overlooked now because Rachel has made a complete and utter fool of herself. The fact now that she's leaning into that further, I applaud her for that, because I think that's going to get her the most popularity and the most money, and we know that she wants that money, but she's never going to be taken seriously as a reaction channel ever again. And look, if that's the path that works for her, that's great. But she can't now sit on her high horse going, but I told you, this is the point. Look, Amber lied. You all are focusing on the wrong thing, you idiots, right?
What we should all be focusing on is the fact that Amber lied about being kicked, and somehow, despite my attempts in my previous video, nobody in the LCU has actually talked about that fundamental thing. That is the problem. The question of Amber breaking up with Emily is not the question, right? That doesn't matter.
Okay, a couple of points here. Firstly, I find it interesting that she says whether Emily or Amber should break up. That's not the question. That's not the point. It's not what we should be focusing on yet. It is the thing that she spent most of her time talking about in her last video, and it is the thing that she spends most of her time talking about in this video. So if she genuinely doesn't see that as the point of this, she has narrated her video completely incorrectly, because that looks like the underpinning point. The other thing that I just want to notice, like, did you hear what she said at the beginning of this clip? And somehow, despite my attempts in my previous video to basically prove that Amber had lied about these kicks, is she's saying that as though she is the beacon of all things Amber, and as though reaction channels for over a decade haven't been trying to point this out to people. But oh no, ignore the last, more than a decade of reaction channels, that now Rachel has spoken. So all listen to the wisdom of Rachel. Now that Rachel has spoken, we can all sit down and just shut up, because everything that needs to be said has been said. And there's such an arrogance and a narcissism to that the irony is, and the parallel is just beautiful, my nuggets.
I have no interest in Justin Bieber lookalikes who live 900 miles away from me.
So I found this funny. Clearly, it's gotten under her skin that we've all focused on this, because why would we not focus on this? There is so much evidence to suggest that they were legitimately interested in each other. And the thing that would make us all shut up, which is the flirting receipts, the ones that she said were nothing, she won't show us. So it would either make her look bad, or she's really enjoying this kind of narrative that we're all spinning, or it was true. But I find it funny that she addresses this like so early in the video too, and this is not the only time she addresses it in this video. The more she says it, the more she addresses it, the more I don't believe it. I don't believe her anymore. I really don't. I actually feel like, she could have gotten away with that whole, oh, look, I was just flirting to get the tea thing. If she had have just never spoken about Emily again after that, I think we could have all just gone, oh, maybe there was nothing there. But no, we are so far past that at this point. You would have a hard time convincing me of anything else. I need to see those receipts, Rachel. Please give the flirting receipts. Also interesting that Emily hasn't shown the flirting receipts, isn't it?
What we want to know is Amber ever going to admit and take accountability for the fact that she's a actual full-on narcissistic liar who makes shit up about people?
No, I don't think. At the moment, in the state of Amber's growth, or at least reduction at this point, really, in persona, I don't think she is at the point where she has the ability to be able to self-reflect and take accountability. I'm not going to sit here and say she never will. Stranger things have happened. They have. But in order for that to happen, she would have to do so much personal growth, so much therapy, so much like reparenting of herself to be able to get to that point where she can stand up and say, oh yeah, no, I've been a complete and utter cloaca, and I need to make amends for this. The expectation that Rachel has on Amber to do this is something that is not within Amber's skill set right now. And just because Rachel feels like that should be done doesn't actually mean it's going to be done.
Let's turn now to this Locale Bus live stream. So this was happening last night. It was like, for me, it's like 2 a.m. or something. So they're like, call Rachel, get Rachel on here. I'm asleep. I wake up and check my stuff and I see what happened the night before, but I'm not watching this live, no way.
So something that I just want to kind of preface, because it comes up at several times in the video, and I'll prompt your memory when it happens, but have a look at her face. Take note of her face, the way she kind of lights up and her eyes almost get a little glitter to them when she's discussing the prospect of being on LC bus, or that they want her to go on it. And then in turn, also try and focus on her face when they're actively calling her names. It is so clear. It couldn't be clearer if she put neon lights all around her saying, I'm happy about this, I'm sad about this. It's so there. And if you look at her face in that last clip, she's so delighted. And even though the words are saying, I would never go on it, no, she's so delighted that they're saying, get Rachel, get Rachel.
So we're diving in at 33 minutes 50 to just have a quick watch of Fupa reading this super chat and have a little chat about Amber's response. So here we go.
Tell everyone the truth, Amber, about why you're having a bad day. Could it be because you and your girl have split up and she's talking to reaction channels such as Rachel again? Why is she no longer in the Discord?
What am I supposed to be responding to?
Why?
It's so silly that she would be like, what am I supposed to be responding to? Girl, it's obvious. Like, it's been 35 minutes and the whole chat is talking about it and you still haven't addressed it. Like, this is what the people come to the show for. They want the drama. They like the stuff with her partners. This is what makes Amber interesting. So when she refuses to address stuff like this, she may as well not bother.
Why is she
Why
not
are
in
you
Discord?
having such a bad day?
I'm having a bad day all around, like finding out about Scooter. I'm not getting much sleep. I mean, I told Tommy I needed like a break.
Like a break in the relationship?
Yeah, like just give me some space. So
I mean, it's quite ironic that she's now claiming that she asked Emily for space when we know that she's a fucking fiend and is constantly on the person's arse. If Emily is angry with her, it's extremely unlikely that Amber is asking Emily for space.
So something that happens throughout this video, and it did happen quite a bit in the last video I covered as well, is Rachel is exclusively looking at this from Emily's perspective. And it's like she has no ability to be able to consider what Amber is experiencing in this situation. And while Amber, without a doubt, has done some heinous acts in her past and apparently continues to do so, it doesn't negate Emily's part in this either. But Rachel, philosophy graduate queen that she is, can't see a different perspective for some reason. Now, that's either a complete inability to, because she hasn't practiced being able to put herself in other people's shoes and, you know, think about what they're experiencing. There is actually some evidence for that that I'll be going into a little bit later, that she just cannot get her head out of her own experience and therefore applies her own experience to everybody. Or she is just so entrenched emotionally with Emily that she's actively choosing not to see Amber's side. And you do that with loved ones, right? Like I would absolutely first take my husband's side over anybody else, unless we're talking about something so egregious that it breaks all of my boundaries and ethical lines and things like that. I love him and I trust him, and we are a team and a unit together. So him being the person that I know he is, I have his back. But I really want you to keep in mind that Rachel just relentlessly, and she will throw in little lines like, yeah, Emily sucks too, but she relentlessly backs Emily at every turn. She is so far down that end, which is the largest problem that I have with her presenting herself as a philosophy graduate and putting herself on that kind of pedestal and speaking down to everybody the way that she does, because she doesn't live it, she doesn't think it, she does not understand philosophy. All she's managed to prove with her degree is that she's able to research, memorize, and regurgitate this information sufficiently enough to get a passing grade to gain the degree.
Did you read that one, Amber?
Yeah, so I'm not going to be talking about Tommy anymore. I don't know why people keep bringing her up. It's like just really annoying at this point. But no, I didn't get demonetized for eating on camera. I got demonetized for talking about eaters. This is a different channel. This has nothing to do with my weight, my size, nothing. So this is a completely different situation.
But it's just odd to me that she's like, why do people keep bringing this up? This is your brand. For years and years and years and years and years on YouTube, your exes and drama with your exes are your brand. That's what people care about. So it's just funny to me that she acts brand new and is like, why are people bringing this up? Girl, this is the only thing that anyone is interested in when it comes to you. Nobody cares about your fake shower routine or your what I eat in a days. All people care about is the drama and, you know, your character and how it's like displayed in your lies and such, which come across because of the relationship or because of the context of your relationships.
So this is actually an interesting tell. Rachel, just like Amber, always tells on herself. And what I was saying about her kind of seeming inability to be able to step outside of her own experience, and really what I picked apart with her perspective on like all reaction channels are in it for the money and things like that, those definitive statements, which by the way she still hasn't learned not to do, are what make me think that she can't get her head out of her own experience. And saying that people only care about the drama is, I think, oversimplifying quite a lot about what a lot of us watch Amber for. I think there's a lot of different things about Amber and her content as to what we care about. I certainly, for example, focus most on the Arrested Development, where, yes, drama can stem from that, but it's not the drama in and of itself that I like watching Amber for. So it just, everything about this tells you, and by the way, no shade if you do agree with Rachel, that's not what I'm picking apart. What I'm picking apart is the definitive statement that Rachel makes. So in essence, because Rachel watches and cares about the drama and lies, therefore everybody only cares about the drama and lies. There's still a great deal of growth that Rachel needs to go through that I do genuinely hope she's on the road for. Unfortunately, at this point, she hasn't actually demonstrated any of it yet. Doesn't mean it's not there, but it means she hasn't shown it to us.
So now we're going to go over to the live stream at 1 hour and 25, which is where they start talking about it. So Amber's been pushed and pushed throughout the live in the places that I've shown you. She's made it very clear she does not want to talk about this subject, but alas, they do end up talking about it. So that is what we're going to cover now. Also, Amber's got food all over her face because they've been playing this game where somebody pays money, whatever, and spins the wheel, and she has to put like hot sauce and jelly jam on her face. So if you're wondering why she looks like that, that's why. It's not because she made out with a tomato.
And then $20 from Big Money says Amber's significant other emailed the reaction channel named Rachel and said that she never kicked her after Amber said she kicked her twice. I thought they were in their healing era. Amber is a liar again. I don't know what that's about. Amber, what's that about?
So there's a tiny pause here. We'll let Amber talk in a second, but this is where Amber should say, if she had any fucking morals, she would go, you know what? I lied. Emily never kicked me. I was angry when I said that. I was trying to hit out at her. And in order to save face for Emily and try and salvage some of Emily's character, Amber could take accountability, but she won't because she cares more about her ego and her brand than she cares about her girlfriend.
So what I found interesting here is just running that parallel with Rachel and Amber again. The context around taking accountability is something that I feel Rachel still has not done, surrounding several of those mistakes that she's made now. And we're not even at the apology part for this current mistake. So that's why I say I'm not sure if it's over yet. We'll get there. But the line, she cares more about her brand and her ego, that's Rachel. Rachel, that's you. There has been no sincerity in any of the actions or words that Rachel has delivered in her apologies for her past mistakes that lead me to think that she's taken any accountability at all. And by the way, my nuggets, if you haven't seen it, I did a whole breakdown of all of the mistakes that she's made to date and how she dealt with those situations, and not a single one of them made me feel, yes, okay, she's legitimately got this. She's learned. We're not going to see that mistake again. And that's why I had been sitting there for the last month saying the mistake is coming. It's coming because this woman has not learned from her mistakes. And therefore, the behavior is bound to be repeated. So the parallels, they are juicy.
If she really wanted to make her girlfriend happy, she could admit to the lie. Emily, you're watching this, I know you are. You think about how little respect Amber has for you. She's letting people think that you kicked her rather than just admit to her lies.
I still feel like she's just leaving these little things for us to find. What do you think, my nugget? Do you think that this is legitimately leaning into the lol cow and she's like baiting us and then she can go, oh yeah, these reaction channels, they'll pick up on this line and this line and this line? Because it feels to me that's like what's going on. Or do you think it's her being like trying to be authentic and this is a real video and she's actually just like this? I don't know. Tell me what you think. But to turn around and address Emily and say, Emily, I know you're listening. It's just after all of the history, all of the flirting, all of the contact, all of the inappropriateness, and she addresses her personally in her video. You can't make this shit up. You really can't.
It's very interesting the way Amber reacts here. She should just take accountability, but once again, she doesn't. And we all know the kick didn't happen. That was the purpose of the video I made. I wasn't trying to start drama and start shit. I mean, obviously I am a little bit because I love keeping the heat on Amber.
A little bit of, self-awareness there. I appreciate that. But listen to the words that she said there. We all know the kick didn't happen. That was the purpose of the video I made. So because from Rachel's perspective, essentially what she's saying there is, I presented you with this quote unquote proof, which by the way, nuggets, I went through in my last video saying it's just not proof. It's compelling, but it's not proof. And so therefore, because she's presented us with this proof, we should all just say, yes, we totally agree with you, Rachel. Now, I want to say from the top of this, my opinion on Amber is quite low, and I find everything that Rachel alleges, and they are allegations, I find everything that Rachel alleges to be plausible, very plausible. Without a doubt, I don't think Amber was good in this relationship, but we're not at all acknowledging the other side of this, because that's all we've been given is one side. That is all Rachel has to offer, is one side. And for some reason, she has a complete blind spot when it comes to Amber. There's such animosity and hatred there. And although I can say I don't like Amber as a person, I wouldn't have her in my personal life, I don't hate her. I don't have that kind of fire, unless it comes to the animal stuff. But just that blindness concerns me, and the fact that she is sitting there so confidently throwing out these allegations as complete and utter fact. Why? Because somebody who has proven themselves to be an unreliable historian and narrator told her so. That there is a world where it's possible that Amber's not lying here. And Rachel saying so confidently that she is lying, when there's absolutely no definitive proof, she could be absolutely casting disbelief on a victim. And just that possibility of what would it look like if you were wrong? What is the risk of if you were wrong? Without her even considering that is concerning, and that is what shows this woman has growing up to do.
Okay, so Amber is about to start giving her version of the story. So we'll let her say it, and then we'll address it after. So Amber's going to spew some stuff now. I'll try to not pause her too much. We'll let her say it, and then we'll get into it after.
Oh my God, I don't even know. Okay, so Rachel keeps emailing my girlfriend, and my girlfriend's responding. And I didn't know. My face is swollen. I know it's looking like it. And I knew about a couple from a month ago because she was open with me with those. But it turns out there was recent ones that happened where for some weird reason, Rachel asked my girlfriend something like, did you lie to me about kicking Amber? I don't know.
So I'm really glad that Rachel is responding to this, because in the live when we were watching this, I'm like, that's interesting. Does that mean that Amber is confirming that there was more communication between Rachel and Emily that Rachel hadn't given us? Or was she maybe talking about the 22nd of January one, the don't speak about my child on YouTube? But the fact that Amber differentiates, there were a couple before and then there were some recent ones, does sound like the 22nd of January was sectioned out into the some recent ones and that there were actually more. So I got very interested as to how Rachel would deal with this. And let's pay close attention.
Okay, so that's true. I just wanted to be able to basically prove that Amber is a lying piece of shit. So any emails sent were to try and get Emily to do exactly what she did, which was admit that Amber is a liar. So, it worked.
So she does admit, kind of, that there is additional communication. She does not come forth with what that communication was. And I'll just pop the email screenshot up again because this is all she gave us. So if there were more communications prior to the please don't speak about my child on your YouTube, what were they and why were they cut out? Were they failed attempts at trying to bait Emily? Did Emily respond? Were there flirting in those communications? Why are we not seeing those communications? And see, here's the thing. Here's the issue that I have with Rachel in her past mistakes. Rachel is only transparent when it's convenient for her or when she feels she is about to get caught out. And the fact that now she's saying that there are additional communications, and the fact that there is so much question surrounding this relationship that she has with Emily. If I were Rachel, I think it would be prudent to be transparent about all communications. I think that kind of trust that can be built behind the transparency is really important for creators. So once again, no lessons have been learned. Mistakes are going to keep coming. And realistically, probably the same kinds of mistakes are going to keep coming.
And my girlfriend replied.
Also, sorry, just to say as well, that this is really clever here, what Amber's about to do, clever-ish, because Amber basically says here, I don't know why Rachel would do that. No, she does know, because she lied about being kicked. So the purpose of the video and the purpose of the email and the purpose of all of this is to be able to say, Amber, you are definitively a liar who lied recently about a serious topic. That is the purpose of all of this. You think I want to email Emily for fun? No.
I'm sorry, I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a little bit, and it's going to feel a bit yucky because I don't really appreciate being forced to go in to Amber's defense, essentially. So, what Rachel is saying, once again, from Rachel's perspective, she's coming at this saying, you know why I contacted her, because you lied. This is the information I have. You lied. I made a video. Therefore, you know why I emailed your girlfriend. But from Amber's side of things, there could be a lot more going on in her mind as to what provoked that particular response. For example, and I'm sure that there are many possibilities, but here's one example for you. They have so much history, and she has caused so much chaos in my relationship that we are trying to heal. I don't know why my girlfriend would have responded. That is a completely different take, isn't it? It's almost, I find it very frustrating that somebody who spouts so much philosophy could not possibly get their head into the world that they're living in and try and experience others' experiences. But at the same time, I also need to step back and say, this is Rachel's journey and she's not at that point yet. So she does not have the ability right now. Doesn't mean she won't in the future, but right now she's just not in that place. And that's okay, because that's her journey to walk. And who am I to dictate where she should be at any point in time? But I'm a chicken. I'm still allowed to feel frustrated.
And Amber's like, I don't know why she would do that. I don't know why Rachel would email her. Really? I made it very clear in the video and very clear in the email why I've emailed you. If I email and ask you one question in one sentence, it's obviously because I want an answer to that. The fact that your girlfriend responded, although questionable and stupid and embarrassing, is not actually the most interesting thing.
And again, it's just a lack of perspective into somebody else's mind. So when you're dealing with somebody like Amber, she operates on a foundation level of manipulation. I believe it's probably learned in her childhood. It's how she's learned to survive. It worked for her. It functioned for her. And so now she continues it as an adult. That's the arrested development part, not ever actually learning that that doesn't work in a healthy adult situation. And because when you are somebody who operates so deeply from a level of manipulation, you're also going to assume that everybody else is operating under manipulation. So Amber's going to be sitting there looking for the hidden messages, looking for the hidden motives and things like that, where Rachel's like, I sent you a question, is it not clear? Both of these women are not meeting together at the same point in time, if that makes sense. The way they are thinking about this, the way they are interpreting this situation is so different, and neither one of them can get out of themselves enough to be able to see the other's perspective.
Saying that she wasn't lying, which insinuates that I was lying, which is very hurtful because...
But is it hurtful though? So like, it's like she's so close. She's like, she replied saying that she wasn't lying, which insinuates that I was lying, which is very hurtful. No, it's not very hurtful. It shows that you were lying. So now you need to say, I wasn't lying, she did kick me, or, yeah, I lied, she didn't kick me. She doesn't do either. She turns the subject and makes it about something else. It's incredibly manipulative. What she needs to actually talk about is whether or not she was kicked, but she manages to like twist it away from that. It's really interesting to watch.
Oh, it is interesting to watch. So the options that Rachel just gave Amber there, both of her examples were to get Amber to say that she was lying. Okay, but what if you're wrong, Rachel? What if she didn't lie? What if your precious little Emily is not just a pure victim in this world. And while I do agree that there are examples, my nuggets, I like true crime. I know a lot of you like true crime. There are examples of true and pure victims happening in this world, and it's horrible. In this case, I don't believe that to be true at all. And we're going to get into it. And I know a lot of you kind of, agree on this. But neither one of them, from what we've heard, is pure victim. They are both perpetrators, and they are both victims in slightly different ways, of course, because they're both perpetrating different acts. You've got Amber, who's very manipulative and very mistreating of her girlfriends. But then you have Emily, with Emily's predilection, which even Rachel talks about later. And as somebody in my live last night very aptly put, that kind of mistreatment can actually lead to an unaliving situation. Actually, it could also be argued that Amber's version of mistreatment also could, but I think one of them is a little bit more acute than the other. So to just completely blank Emily as doing anything wrong at all, and to only give Amber the options of saying that she's lying, I think is not correct for her to be doing, firstly. But also, I worry that there are people watching this who have, maybe gone through something in a relationship or in a familial way or whatever, where there has been trauma like that and they haven't been believed, and now they're watching Rachel do this to Amber, and maybe they see themselves in Amber. And I don't know, that kind of thing makes me a little bit concerned, because I would hate for the wrong person to be receiving the message that is meant for Amber from, by the way, Amber's ex's ex-lover. So, yeah. Rachel has a dog in this race, whether she wants to admit it or not.
Because I thought that we were in our healing era. I have been...
But healing from what? You're in your healing era from what? From her kicking you, or from you lying about her kicking you? Which is it? We know it's the fact that she lied and she never kicked her, but in order to make this content have any kind of meaning, she should address it, but she doesn't. It's so slimy.
We don't know, first of all. Rachel, you might feel but we don't know for sure. The only way we're going to know for sure is if we were there when it happened. And no matter how probable something looks, we always need to accommodate, especially with topics like this, of what would it look like if we were wrong. And it's not saying we are wrong. It's just considering what is on the table, what damage is on the table, things like that, and to just guide language a little bit more carefully, I personally think is important in this situation. And also, when Amber's talking about her healing era, again, Rachel is just not able to step outside of herself. She is looking at this exclusively from her video, which, by the way, narcissistic much? Amber could be looking at this from a perspective of, we know that we're both toxic. We know that we've both made mistakes in this relationship, and we both had a conversation where we were committed to working through this together. And so now this kind of perceived betrayal has happened from Amber's behalf. And so it puts into question that healing era, because now the rules have been broken, in a sense. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but it's possible, right? So it's possible that Rachel is having a reaction and a conversation to a completely different thing that Amber is having a conversation about.
Reaching that to everyone, I have been feeling that in my heart. There's a plan for her to come see me. Things have been so good, and it's
A plan for her to come see you? How embarrassing. Can you imagine dating somebody who was as awful and horrible to you as Amber was, dug her nails into you, lied about it, made videos about you on the internet, accused you of kicking them twice, made all kinds of accusations of you being a feeder, bringing her food, asking for nudes? You guys, we haven't even covered the fact that Amber claimed that Emily was begging her for nudes, which Emily also refuted. There were so many things that Amber has done to Emily, and after all of that, Emily is still willing to go and visit her.
Do you see what I mean? Okay, I want to actually go through and list these because listen to what she said. This is the language here. Can you imagine dating someone who was as awful to you as Amber was, dug her nails into you, lied about it, made videos about you on the internet, accused you of kicking them twice, made all kinds of accusations about you being a feeder, asking for special spicy pictures. There's so many things that Amber has done to Emily, and after all of that, Emily is still willing to go and visit her. Okay, where on there is Amber's side of that? Because I've said it before, I cannot imagine why these two women want to stay together, because the things that they have done to each other, I cannot. I really can't. I understand that people get addicted to the drama and the chaos and people love that. I feel like, given my past upbringing and things like that and my extended family, I have a very low tolerance for drama that doesn't need to be there. Life brings enough on its own. That's my philosophy. But nowhere in that is how embarrassing is it for Amber to want to be with somebody like that after all of the things that she's done? The absolute blind spot, and again, I'm not defending Amber here, I'm just arguing the other side that very much needs to be argued in this video. Like, yeah, it's probably likely that Amber lied about this particular thing. It's probably likely that Amber was impossible to live with, but Emily is not guilt-free in this either. I don't like that Rachel presents herself as this authority on this kind of topic when she so clearly has had very tiny amounts of controversy in her own life. And I know that she said that there's been essay in her past, and that's horrible for her, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But I'm sure that you can see my nuggets if you are someone, and I know that there's so many of you listening right now, if you're someone who has gone through shit, like proper shit, and you're looking at this young, privileged, obstacle-free, had an upbringing with nice parents and a nice education, and now she's sitting here talking about DV. Somebody who reportedly, have not verified yet, but I'll get to it, said that she's never even known anybody who's experienced DV. Who are you to be passing such judgment on such a heavy topic when you have no idea how the world works? I want to use the word silly little girl, but that will be infantilizing her, and I don't want to do that. Grow the cluck up, Rachel.
Like, you are an embarrassment. You're actually a fucking fool. Like, it's stupid. The fact that we're even discussing this, the two of them are both as bad as each other and they deserve each other. But what really matters is that Amber is a public figure who is trying to peddle a narrative that she's not a liar when she is. That's what we should actually be talking about. And yet somehow we're getting distracted by this whole "is Emily trustworthy" thing. No, of course she's not. We knew.
But that's the thing. That's how critical thinking works. Right? All Rachel sees is that it's not being addressed, which it's not. That's fair. You know, they don't hold Amber to account on this show, which to me, I don't know, call me crazy. I understand that. Keem wants to make as much money out of Amber as he possibly can, so he wants to kind of placate her to a point enough that will keep her comfortable on the show. And by the way, Rachel, now that I think of it, you should understand that because you flirted to get the tea. You yourself said that you were nicer than you wanted to be because it was important to get the tea, and who was going to hand over a whole bunch of screenshots to somebody that they didn't like? How is this any different? Why can't you see this?
I didn't do anything, but it's just like everything just keeps happening to me. And it's just
Oh no, oh sausage, you didn't do anything. Oh, so you didn't lie about being kicked, no? Oh wait, you did. Who's the victim here? Certainly not you. You know the real victim is Casey, who you also lied about, the lies about whom you were trying to defend when you said the sentence, "I've never lied about something serious." The people who I'm actually trying to defend are people like Casey, who you've accused of actual crimes with no proof and with an extremely heavy amount of speculation that it didn't happen. So if I can prove that this other lie did happen, then it makes it much more likely that these other lies, which you're claiming you would never lie about anything serious, you lied about something serious 6 months ago. She's a liar. Emily is an idiot, and the two of them are a total fucking mess.
Madam, I know that you are not putting the spin on this, that you're here to defend Casey, that you're here to give light to DV victims. I know that you're not spinning that narrative. Miss, I'll wipe my tears with banknotes. Miss, I'll make them money whether they love me or hate me, idiots. Miss, I did it for the money. You can't now, with no visual depiction of improvement, turn around and say that you're doing this for holistic reasons, that you're doing this for the greater good of DV victims everywhere. I'm not going to let this slide. This is not okay. And as somebody, by the way, with some, pretty unique, pretty significant trauma in their background, I would not want this woman at all explaining my situation. She in no way has demonstrated that she has adequate understanding of what it's like to go through these very psychologically complex situations. This is not okay. This is really, Rachel, you are not the person to be doing this. You have absolutely crippled your reputation in a way that this will never be okay in my book. And by the way, I say never. I mean, as you stand right now. But should Rachel turn around and actually show growth, should she show some maturity, should she show some ability to be able to step outside of her own very privileged world and show us that, she's grown, then I might accept her saying, oh yes, I used to think this way, and now I've seen and learned and grown, and now I see this way. And there's power in that to be had. I've done that on my own channel. I've shifted my opinion about a couple of things, but you do that in the progress of growth, right? I don't like this, and I'm so sorry if anybody is hearing this and it's upsetting you on the level that it's upsetting me, because it doesn't feel super good. Do you think my boys sense that I'm a bit distressed? I think they might. They always seem to start crying when I get heated. I don't know. Let's continue though. Rant over.
It's tough to put your trust into somebody and then have them not follow up with you.
But it's also stupid to put your trust in somebody who is clearly only with you for your size. It's almost like, and I don't like this phrase, but it is kind of like, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Okay, so this is a really bad take, because this is nothing short of actually victim blaming. Like, this is literally saying if you get with a feeder, you get what you deserve. Look, it is true that Amber really needs to stand up and acknowledge that she is at the point in her life because of decisions that she's made. But Rachel, in one breath, is saying, look how horrible Amber is. Emily's done nothing wrong. Look at how stupid Emily is for staying with this person. But then also acknowledging that Emily is a feeder. Now, there is a difference, and in the research that I've done, the deep dives that I've done into Eugenia's end of the predilection of that kind of thing, the other end is very similar. It's just like, it's a different taste, right? Same thing, different taste. There is a difference between somebody who gets with somebody of a certain body type just because they like that, but they can still be a supportive partner in the health journey of that, right? And it doesn't mean that they leave them. And you might see a similar thing where you've gotten together with someone, but you grow and you change and your priorities become different, and you can still be supportive partners through that. And while I know that these two things are not the same, I just want to also indicate another version of change where somebody discovers in the relationship that they're trans, and perhaps the partner still wants to be with their loved one, even though the gender is being reassigned. Does that make sense? And I get it. You don't need to, I understand they're not the same thing, but the change can happen. And so my point being, a supportive partner can still support the health journey of change, even though that's not initially the body they were attracted to. But there is also a difference of somebody who is actively feeding the condition that we're talking about with both Eugenia and Amber, same condition, different ends of the spectrum. If they are actively participating in that, if they're actively exploiting the condition and giving a permission base for that person to worsen and to stay within, locked into their condition, that is a different thing that we're talking about. By Rachel calling Emily a feeder, she is saying that Emily is the latter that I just described. She is the active participant variety. So that means by default, Emily is a perpetrator, right? So Rachel is literally speaking out of both sides of her mouth here. And that's what confuses me, where are we really just coming at this from ignorance, or are we really coming at it from feelings, like actual love feelings maybe, or like very intense like feelings towards this person, where you deliberately put the blinkers on and you don't want to see what they're doing wrong, even though intellectually you know, because it's said here. I don't know. You tell me what you think about that, my nuggets. I hope all of that sat well and that I articulated that correctly, because we're talking about complex relationship dynamics, predilections, and severe conditions.
When Amber first started dating Emily, the whole internet, including myself, it's how I started in Girl World. The video is deleted now because of Emily fucking privacy striking me. But that's how I started in Girl World, talking about this subject. Everybody was saying to her, listen, Amber, your girlfriend is a feeder, or if she's not a feeder, at the very least, she has an extreme kink for large people. She's interested in people because of their size and their size only. When her fiance sadly passed away, the wording she used in the funeral speech is the same wording that she posted on Instagram about Amber. It was so obvious. It was Colleen died in the April, she made the post in the June or something like that, or the July. So it's like, it's been 3 months and you're completely in love with another person again. No, that's not true. It is absolutely because of her size. You can't date somebody who only cares about that and then expect them to be a loyal, caring girlfriend. She showed Amber who she was when she first messaged Mr. Snowflake. You can't buy loyalty. You can't make somebody care about you enough to not publicly disgrace you. And Emily has shown time and time again, she does not have any loyalty to Amber. Her loyalty is to herself and her kink for Amber's body.
So a couple of things here, my nuggets. I'm just going to do a little spoiler alert, because later in the video, Rachel says that Emily is the victim and Amber is not. And I just want you to think about the phrasing that Rachel said here. The whole internet, including myself, it's how I started in Girl World, talking about this subject. Everyone was saying to her, listen, Amber, your girlfriend is a feeder. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because this narrative doesn't add up. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about with this clip is that highlighting that Emily couldn't have been serious in this relationship. And it's actually something that I proposed because I also felt the same way. I think that the feelings may have been real for Colleen. And then getting into a series of relationships, I don't think that we can criticize the way somebody grieves. And sometimes when people lose their partner, the instinct is to go and connect physically with somebody else, because that helps them feel less alone and it helps them through their grief. I'm not going to sit here and criticize that, because grief is just one of those things that it just needs to be done the way it's done, right? But what I suspected was that she was actually upfront and honest with Amber about where she was at the beginning, but Amber being Amber, needing the intensity right away, I think kind of forced and drove that. And that's why I suspected that the trip to visit Emily was only supposed to be just a little visit, just a little bit light, not a move-in thing, but Amber tried to make it a move-in thing. This was just what was going on in my mind. And there were a couple of comments made around the trip, like after the trip, that did lean towards that, where Emily was doing some talk about the fact that Colleen was always going to be part of their relationship, and Amber even said that as well. And so it does sound like it was quite serious, and Amber needed to respect that. But I don't think Amber's in a place to be able to respect that. So it was always going to be a toxic relationship from the beginning, just because the two parties coming together in that way weren't looking for the same thing. But for some reason now they're locked in together, and the rest ensues.
They try to get the mood up and change it, but then Keemstar joins, as you're about to see, and then we'll go from here. All of this is interesting, to be honest. This video is going to be long as fuck, but I'm just going to cover the whole thing because it's interesting.
It is interesting. Keem is interesting, and Amber in this clip is interesting as well. I don't want to go back and rehash everything that I said in the live, just because I feel like it's been said. I did mention, just in short, that I think there's a lot of manipulative language going on Keem's behalf. I also think that he voided Amber's consent surrounding dating, and also misstepped with pushing her too hard, because I can see the manipulation that he's trying to do. He's going for a big epic crash out and all of that. From Amber's perspective, there was a lot of woe is me and a lot of not taking accountability for the fact that her decisions have led her to this moment. And one thing that I will give her credit for is that she was very firm in her boundaries, and even though the relationship has been on the table to talk about, I respect somebody's decision to withdraw that consent. So the relationship has been on the table, but this breakup is new, or the break, or whatever it is, totally is. Maybe she's not ready to talk about that right now. I think that should be respected. Call me crazy. I'm not going to rehash everything, but in short, if you're interested though, please do go watch the live. Like I said, there's chapters, so you can go to it. It was the apathetic facts cut that I did, and I've got apathetic facts tagged, so you can see it.
Keem.
Hey, I know we're not best friends, but we're friends, and you need to break up with that person.
Start fresh if you want,
I don't fucking care. Like, dude, that person knows your life. They know what you deal with all these detractors, and she's fucking emailing one of them. That's it, bro.
I mean, she deals with this because of her own behaviour. The reason there are reaction channels is because of what she's done. But yeah, definitely, no matter what you've done, in a sense anyway, if your partner is going to be with you, they should support you, at least publicly. I think if Emily wants to talk shit about Amber and get this out and off her chest, she needs to break up with her. But as I've said, the connection between them is such an awfully unhealthy bond that I don't know how it's going to turn out. Their relationship has no future, so this is a futile waste of everyone's time. The sooner Emily wakes up and smells the fucking flowers and decides to focus on her child and her real life, and not this half-ton abuser in Oklahoma who she hasn't seen for a year.
Rachel is very passionate about this, I do want to say. I do agree, though, with what she's saying around edifying your partner. She says, at least in public. I disagree. I think always, even in private. I don't know. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the old married lady who's, by the way, coming up to 18 years together in a successful marriage. I'll put that out there. Not once have I badmouthed my husband to anybody. And when we have disagreements, crazy idea, talk about it. But the way Emily handles herself publicly, the way Amber handles herself publicly, both of them have no business airing their relationship like that unless it was pre-arranged, consented to, and discussed thoroughly throughout. None of this should be happening.
It's her fault. She brought this on herself. No sympathy ever for her. Sorry. No way.
So that was in response to Amber doing a very pity face and saying, everything always happens to me. And this is where I kind of get torn, because I always want to see the humanity in people. And if people think that I'm too soft for doing that, I'll take that, because I would rather see the humanity and be made a fool than to criticize or condemn someone that really needed support. So I'll just take that one on the chin. And I think I've made my opinions about Amber throughout my many videos very, very clear. And by the way, if this is your first video you're watching of mine, I'm not usually this soft towards Amber. It's just I need to present the counter argument to a very unbalanced argument that Rachel is producing here. But in regards to no sympathy, yes, you're responsible for your choices, but to have absolutely no sympathy, I don't know. I still kind of do a little bit for Rachel. I always get their names mixed up. In my brain, Rachel and Amber are the same person. I continually make this Freudian slip. I'm sorry, my nuggets. I do still have some sympathy and empathy for Amber just because I know what it's like to deal with arrested development and to be that person. She doesn't help herself. She hasn't broken out of it and tried to improve herself. That's where the criticism lies. But I don't know, as someone that's lived it, it's not as simple as Rachel is making it seem. And growth is not linear. Sometimes it curves right back on itself and cycles through, but we don't know where Amber is. The impatience that I have with Amber at the moment is the LCU was absolutely a movement backwards, and it was a self-destructive decision to make, and I lose patience with that.
And all of these people on this show have been defending her and going, that was old news, that's not real. Can any of these detractors come in and bring one real thing? And I come in with proof of one thing, and all of a sudden they're all defending her and saying, oh no, well, even if you did lie, we didn't care. All you wanted this whole time was proof that she lied, and now you've had it, suddenly you don't care. Such bullshit. Your colleague lied about being kicked. That is serious. She invented 2 stories where she alleged physical abuse that did not happen. Then she cried victim, tried to make me out as some sort of DV apologist. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch this video at this timestamp.
Okay, before we get into the DV apologist thing, because it absolutely was not at that timestamp that she put, but just an alternate perspective for Rachel's what she's trying to describe here. One, perhaps they don't, like, she's so fixated on these kicks. Like, out of all of the things that Amber has provably lied about, she's really fixated on these kicks. And she feels so righteous about the fact, I presented you proof, even though it wasn't proof. I said it, now you should believe that. It's just not the way the world works, Rachel, because here's the thing. Here's an alternate perspective. One, you are not credible. This is not a credible person. So if you had somebody who has been proven to have an agenda, who's been proven to have a personal place within the timeline, and they're telling you what they see, they're telling you their side of the story, are you necessarily going to believe everything they say when it is against somebody who is actively in your life? And in this case, Rachel has dabbled and flirted and had some manner of romantic connection with Emily. So can she be believed when she's saying things about Amber? And I'm talking from a perspective of somebody who doesn't know the law, somebody who doesn't know all of Amber's past and things like that. So, like, from that perspective, are you going to just believe Rachel? Everybody that has existed in girl world sees what Rachel is delivering and goes, yeah, no, what you're saying makes sense. You're still a fool, but you're making sense. But the other perspective is these are co-workers, right? Who may or may not know everything. Somebody who's in their life, maybe, just maybe, call me crazy, maybe they want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they, from their position, from their seat where they're sitting, see Amber brokenhearted about the fact that her girlfriend contacted an ex-love interest who is also a reaction channel. Maybe they legitimately feel sorry for Amber and want to give her the benefit of the doubt in that situation. And I wouldn't blame them for having that perspective if their knowledge is limited. And that's the thing. We need to forget everything that we know about all of the law and about everything that's happened and all of the lies and look at it from a limited lens that they have. And Rachel can't step outside of herself. This is my video, right? It could have been a 2-second Rachel's completely ignorant. There you go. Whole video. So back to the DV apologist. Now, she sent us on a little bit of a circuitous route there because it wasn't where she said it was. But I did find it because I am a thorough mother clucker and I wanted to make sure that it was in the video. This is what she said.
But then, all of a sudden, when I push her on it in the chat, she suddenly has no idea when it happened. So that is why I made this comment. I said, imagine not remembering which night you got kicked. Now, I wasn't saying that because I think that all DV survivors should remember the date on the calendar of everything that happened to them. Not at all. What I was saying was, if you've already been online and made these allegations and said this kick as a part of a series of very clear events, and you know what date they happened on because that's the day your cat went missing, you would remember that date like the back of your fucking hand. When you're then asked, hey, can you recant that story again? And suddenly you've got no idea when it happened, it's so obvious that you're lying.
So this is a really bad take. And by the way that she's talking, I think that it probably wasn't received well. Because again, it's that talking to a person that you're not talking to, right? And I don't think people should be applying these things to themselves. I really don't, because we're talking about a very specific set of circumstances that's led to this individual being in the way that they are. But people do apply it to themselves. And I think that's the risk. And I think what Rachel is doing here is just fully coming off saying, well, if you're a DV victim and you can't tell me the time and date, then you're lying. And that's what I think about you. She tries to say that's not what she's saying, but the words were, imagine not remembering which night you got kicked. It's just like, look, memories are one of those things. Trauma is a very complex entity. Sometimes people remember with crystal clear detail. Sometimes it gets blocked out. Sometimes you go into a state of shock or adrenaline and things get hazy. It's just the way it is. It's the way brains react in different ways. Now, I'm not speaking specifically about oh, I did it again, my nuggets. I'm not speaking specifically about Amber's situation because I also have some doubt as to whether this happened or not. But this is a very bad take, and it's another example of why Rachel just really doesn't have the life experience to be speaking about something like this. And I'm not saying that you can only speak about things that you've experienced. Not at all. I think you can, but I do think you need to either have the education backing you so that you have a greater picture that is detailed in order to be able to speak on it, or you need to have experienced something, right? Something that is adjacent, something that is, I haven't experienced domestic violence like this on this level, but I did with a boyfriend prior to my husband. My husband would never. There was a push, but what I have experienced is parental situations, a lot of parental trauma that is adjacent. I have been in a coercive, controlling relationship by my mother, so I do understand at least the link and what happens in the mind and things like that. And I understand how you feel. And I understand how a victim can sometimes feel immense guilt over what's happened, like it's their fault. And it just, all of these things that Rachel, from where she's sitting, has no clucking idea how any of this works. And on top of that, she doesn't have the education background. So she specifically should not be speaking about this.
It is over. You are not dating this person anymore. I'm going to be on your ass if you continue to try to date this person. No, it's over. I don't give a fuck that you lied. You got betrayed by the person that is supposed to be your fucking girlfriend.
You don't give a fuck that she lied about being kicked? Seriously? You don't care that she lied about physical abuse? You're a piece of shit as well then.
Kim may well be a piece of shit as well. But the fact that she's forgotten you need to be amicable with people that you want to make money from, why can't she see that Kim is doing exactly what she did with Emily, apparently, allegedly? I don't see how she can't make that link. He needs to keep Amber there as long as he can because his primary focus is money, not ethical lines. Why can't she see this? She's having a literal pout because people aren't doing what she wanted people to do. People aren't taking her word the way she thought that they should. People aren't acting in accordance with how it would go in her mind. Does that sound like anybody to you?
I mean, it's kind of annoying how they're all just glazing her and trying to make her feel better. She's not the victim. How about the fact that she lied about the kick? Like, why is nobody on this live stream capable of going, oh yeah, she actually did lie about this though. Let's push her on that. Let's say, well, Amber, seeing as this has happened, are you willing to admit to the lie? Why is every single one of these motherfuckers enabling her bullshit? I'm sorry, Tech, you might have a nice voice. Sweet Tea, you might be a nice person. Fupa is also there, but nobody is actually pushing her on the thing that matters, and that is why she has reaction channels, because of this bullshit.
Again, we couldn't help being a bit snide or catty towards another woman there. We have not changed. Totally a feminist. Yeah, Rachel. But she's talking about them like, why aren't they holding her to account? She's saying it as if, I've given you the information, so now you know she lied. But my take on these people, maybe aside from Fupa Cheese, is that potentially they don't know, or maybe even Fupa Cheese, because I certainly don't know either. So do they know she lied? It's possible that they're kind of hedging their bets, because the reality is everybody, apparently, except for Rachel, seems to be able to see that it would be a really horrendous thing to accuse somebody of lying about being a DV victim, right? You don't want to be that guy. Just saying. That's what's going on here, I think. That's what I see anyway.
Yeah, there's this hilarious narrative that I was trying to get with Emily, which is absolutely untrue. I wanted proof, I wanted screenshots, I wanted receipts. I was not interested in getting with Emily. So just to be clear. And I think it worked a little bit too well, and Emily thought that I liked her. I did not. And she definitely did like me, which I think is part of the reason Amber hates me so much. I wanted to know what happened, and we got it, you know? We've seen the proof now, so it worked.
Is anybody here buying that? Legit question. I'm just gonna leave that there. All right, you can revel in that and enjoy that.
Come on, now you know it's a clout chasing move, Amber. You caught her the first time. Now it's the second time. You saw the email that she replied back to Rachel, and Rachel's getting clout off of it. Come on, it's over.
I mean, I don't know that it's about clout for Emily. She doesn't give a fuck about Amber for a start, definitely. But what she really wants is to clear her name. Deep down, she hates herself for liking Amber and wanting Amber's body. So she kind of puts herself through this weird rigmarole where she tries to keep her relationship with Amber because she likes the size of her. But at the same time, she doesn't want Amber's lies about her to be out there. So she's kind of trying to toe this line. It's absolutely scummy and embarrassing, but I don't think Emily's getting any clout from this.
Firstly, he said Rachel was getting clout, not Emily. So Rachel misread this. But do you hear the confident language that Rachel is using when she describes how Emily is feeling, how Emily is thinking? Now, I would confidently speak like that about my husband because I know him very well and I know how he thinks and I know how he would be feeling about things. But that's because we've been immersed in each other's lives for so long. So that leads me to think, does Rachel know how Emily is thinking and feeling? Does she know that for sure? Or is she guessing and speculating but using very definitive language around this? Either way, that's not good.
Fuck all that. Bring her on the show, god damn it, and then tell her what's cracking. And bring Rachel up here too.
Breaking up with her on live stream would be...
So just pay attention to Rachel's face through these next few clips because that was clearly, she's very pleased about them calling Rachel up. But there's going to be another one of calling her on, but then there's also going to be some calling her names. Just pay attention to what her face does compared to each of those scenarios.
Matter of fact, get a three-way with Rachel. Rachel, where you at? Come up here.
Rachel, hop on the stream.
No.
Right now.
How about the fuck not?
She says no, but she loves it. She's delighted. Her eyes get all glittery and she is delighted.
Is Rachel like the asshole detractor I've been hearing about? The one that just goes after Amberlynn all the time?
Yep.
Is that
There's
one
a
of
lot
the channels?
those.
So very different facial expressions. She really doesn't like being called names, but she really loves the idea of them wanting her to be on the show.
No, she's one that got caught in she got caught in a Discord with a bunch of other reaction channels talking shit about other reaction channels, and at the same time touching the poo, basically talking to Amber Lynn's girlfriend behind her back.
I think the word poo in an American accent sounds really funny. Touching the poo, like, my apology stands for anyone who's, who cares.
So she made a little joke about the accent there, but did you catch that last bit? My apology still stands for anyone who cares. That apology video, that god-awful excuse for a deflecting, excuse-ridden, aggressive apology video, I wouldn't be mentioning that if I were you, Rachel. That is the biggest thing that you've done wrong. That video was appalling, and especially considering she actually did a video on how to do a good apology, talking about all of the really bad fake apologies that we've seen online. I did a breakdown of it. Love that video. That was so much fun to do. But Rachel, don't draw attention to that video. You need to try and move as far past that as you possibly can. Or better yet, actually show us that you've learned and do a proper apology video.
She seems like a bitch. Fuck Rachel. Also,
She looks like Lord Farquaad.
hey, Fupa, that's your...
Lord Farquaad, yeah, I know. I do have a weirdly square jaw. However, I'm lucky because at least it's skinnier than it was when I started this channel, Well,
at least it's skinnier. Is that what matters, Rachel? Is that the biggest thing that matters? At least you're skinnier. That speaks volumes. I'll leave that there.
the funniest thing about all of this is the fact that Amber hasn't seen Emily in a year. They haven't been in the same room for a year. Like, that's wild. Keemstar's like, start fucking the source. They're not even fucking each other. They haven't seen each other in a year. Like, deep that. I understand long distance relationships and stuff. But all this drama and all this shit over somebody who you literally haven't seen them in a year. Like, it's crazy.
She is speaking, I'm just going to remind you all, she is speaking about somebody that she flirted with enough to be offered to be sent a smoking video, which she has admitted is a particular interest of hers, and then got upset when Emily started talking to Amber again. That is the context in which this clip exists.
I'm with
Oh my
Keith.
God.
I think you should dump her.
I'm gonna have a heart attack tonight, I think.
Okay, so Amber saying that, I'm going to have a heart attack tonight, I think, makes me think she knows Emily's watching the stream. She said that because she's threatening some kind of danger to her health. She does this. She makes these fake health scares when she wants somebody to worry about her. I think Emily is the one who's distanced herself from Amber in this situation. I don't think Amber has asked Emily for a break. I think Emily has asked Amber for a break, which is why Amber's like, I'm so stressed, I'm gonna have a heart attack, because that's how she gets people to feel bad for her and speak to her again.
Again, a very one-sided take. That could be a potential. I do agree that absolutely could be a potential. I hate that Amber uses severe medical crises to get out of situations or to de-escalate situations. It's very manipulative and it's not okay. And I actually really hated that she said the word heart attack in this stream. But there are other perspectives that Rachel, once again, has not considered. And I do agree that the motive is bringing up something serious to get out of a situation or whatever. I agree with that. But the reason for it could be different. Now, Rachel is posing that Emily has asked for the break, which only makes sense in Rachel's head because she's coming at it from a perspective of Amber lied about these kicks. So therefore, Emily is upset with Amber for having lied and has asked for the break. But the alternatives could also be Amber is upset with Emily for speaking to Rachel and has asked for some space. Another perspective is none of this is to do with the actual break itself, but the health concern is to get out of this conversation because she's already made up to this point, if you haven't seen it, a whole lot of, I don't want to talk about this anymore. She's even been doing distancing body language where she's like not facing the camera and she just wants to get away and things like that. She doesn't want to be in this conversation. She wants to get out of it. So that's another potential as to why she's bringing up the heart attack thing. She wants to de-escalate the conversation. conversation. But that, you know, Rachel doesn't consider anything that is outside of her own head. So of course, this is the conclusion that she's drawing. And the reality is, I've come up with a couple of examples. There's probably so many other things it could be.
What, bro? We have to break up with this.
Honestly, Amber has not dated anyone that has been this hated.
There's a reason, though. She's not hated for dating Amber. She's not hated because of what she looks like. She's not hated for any reason other than the feederism allegations, the fact that she had an ex that passed away. I've shown it already, but it's this webpage that she had on FetLife. It's all of the stuff she's liked and interacted with of her being interested in huge people. That is the reason people hate her. It's nothing to do with Amber. They would have hated her as an individual on the internet if she had never touched Amber. If you saw somebody did these things, you would hate them, regardless of their interaction with Amber. Now people dislike her even more because she's proven herself to be even more disloyal. But yeah, she's hated because of what she did. It's nothing to do with her touching Amber.
That's going to become very important very shortly. Remember that she said all that.
It's true. It's an objective fact that Amber and Emily need to break up. Regardless of whether you like Amber or you dislike Amber or you hate Amber or whatever, they need to break up. And that's just an absolute fact.
My philosophy queen, Rachel, is it an objective fact that they need to break up? Is it? It might be in your head. But once again, philosophy graduate still doesn't understand the difference between objective and subjective. It's absolutely not an objective fact that they need to break up because it, once again, and if you've seen my whole undressing of her philosophy degree video, you'll know that the answer to this is it depends. Because just in my live last night, we were talking about actually it might be kind of good if they're together because at least they're not doing it to anybody else. You know, there's other reasons why they should stay together. Not objective fact, not a good philosophy graduate. I need something to like wrap across her nose. No, Rachel. Bad philosophy graduate.
I watched this video the other day. It's really interesting and worth a watch. Tells you a lot about Boogie's life. There are so many parallels between Amber and Boogie. There's definitely a video there somewhere if I can be bothered to make it. I think Amber is at the beginning of her lolcow descent.
Amber's at the beginning of her lolcow descent. No, Rachel. She's been on that for some time. You are at the beginning of your lolcow descent. We got a little confused there, but I love the language there, if I can be bothered to make it. Like, how do you feel as a viewer, as a supporter, as, you know, as creators? We don't exist without you. You are everything. That's why I say I appreciate you so much. And I mean it. I mean it so deeply from the bottom of my soul when I say that to you. And how would that feel if I'm like, if I could be clucked to make it, I'll make it for you, you know? Instead of like, I get so excited to make content for you, to, you know, give you a distraction from the drama that's happening in your life, or even if it's just a bit of a giggle or some entertainment, or maybe it's some learning. And I get so excited to be able to deliver that for you. And I don't know, how does this make you feel as a viewer if that's what was said to you as a loyal supporter? I don't like it. I don't. The alternative would be if it's a video that she would like to make, but potentially there's so much other stuff coming up. I definitely have that too, you know. All of you have been sending me such amazing ideas, but this breaking news stuff tends to start happening. And there's a priority order, right? Where I need to try and balance what's going on. But instead, it's like, I'm going to really find the time. I really want to make it for you. We'll see how things pan out because there's a lot to cover here, right? Is that not a more positive way to spin it? But I don't like it. The attitude stinks.
People are going to respect you for at least sticking up for yourself when you are legitimately the victim.
I mean, she's not the victim. People are going to hate her regardless of what she does. There is nothing she can do that will stop the hate. There is something she could do that might make people slightly more apathetic towards her, which would be admit to all her fucking lies. But there is no way anyone is going to stop hating her. And she is absolutely not the victim. And this is a perfect example. We've just watched nearly 45 minutes of content, or 35 minutes of content about the kick and about these lies and about the fact that the real person who's done something really fucked up here, although Emily has, is Amber, who lied despite saying, I've never lied about anything serious. She lied about being kicked. It's so important, and they've managed to just avoid it somehow. I don't even know how they've done it, but sitting there and saying that she's the victim is a joke. She is not anyone's victim, I do not think.
Okay, shall we? She's not anyone's victim. Now, I'm going to be doing this off the top of my head, so this is by no means an exhaustive list of what's been going on. And feel free, my nuggets in the comments, if you want to flesh these out. So, from Rachel's take, Emily is the victim. The reasons that make Emily a victim is absolutely, dealing with either BPD rage or NPD rage, whatever the, condition is. I know we're all a little split on what that is, but regardless, we can agree living with Amber, dealing with those tantrums, dealing with the yelling and the insults and the potential physical abuse as well that we've at least seen from other exes. It might make sense that there is something happening here as well. Not to mention the out and out, like, explosive and way too informative lives that she did, being without a doubt the victim of coercive control and guilt and all of that stuff that Amber has exhibited just in lives, really, to us. So we don't even need to be in the room to see that going on. But also, on the flip side of that, ways that Amber has been victimized. Rachel actually said anyone's victim, and I think that we can absolutely agree that at the very least in her childhood, she was victimized by her parents and their drug addiction, which we've heard from Mama Lynn as a thing, and there's a whole lot of stuff there, but let's just assume it was a slip of the tongue and she wasn't speaking about the literal lifetime, even if we're just speaking about from Emily. We have from Rachel herself admitting feederism, which is life-threatening and really aiming to put somebody in a state of immobility, and that is a form of, I don't even know if I can say these things on YouTube. That's bad. But then we're also going to add a whole lot of name calling publicly to haters and to anybody who'll listen, really, like Pocahontas. There's been bullying. There's also been the recording her when she doesn't know that she's being recorded so that Emily can look really good and it makes Amber look really bad. There's a whole bunch of stuff there as to why they're both perpetrators and they're both victims in different ways, in different capacities, possibly in different levels of severity, but they're absolutely both getting in the mud here. And the fact that a whole bunch of this has already been stated by Rachel in this video, and to say that Amber is not anyone's victim, that's not good, Rachel. That is objectively incorrect. I don't like the take, and all I can gain from this is, why is she trying to build Emily up so much? Why is she willing to be so blind for Emily? Why is she willing to make herself look stupid, quite frankly, on a video in Emily's defense? Why is she so soft with Emily? Why do you think, my nuggets? What conclusions can we draw from this? I know that I have a conclusion in my head, but I don't know. I have no proof. But it starts to narrow the field down, doesn't it, as to the possibilities that this could be. I do kind of hope that it is just a bit of ignorance on Rachel's behalf, because she can still grow and learn from this and move on. The other alternative is a little concerning. Very concerning. Although, having said that, another option is money. Yeah. Let's sell our souls for some money, shall we?
All she cares about is maintaining some kind of unhealthy trauma bond with Emily because she wants someone. She just wants someone. She doesn't care who they are or how they treat her. And that, to be honest, is probably a side effect of her childhood. A lot of this will be that she was never loved as a child. She never had love demonstrated to her. She had an awful traumatic upbringing. And the thing is that although that is true, it's not an excuse. You have to deal with your own shit. We've all done it, right? I'm 29. It's taken me until, to be honest, the last 6 months or even less to finally feel, okay, I'm actually the kind of person I want to be now.
Oh, I have some thoughts. Okay, so firstly, I think she said it badly, but what she's trying to say is correct. Your past trauma is not your fault. It's really not. What happened to you if you've experienced that, is completely unjust. And if we could go back and do it again, I would not wish that for you. That is not your fault. You didn't deserve it. And, you know, I think it's amazing that you've gotten yourself to where you are if you've gone through that. But it is, as trauma survivors, our responsibility of what we do with that. How does it help us grow? How does it help us become a functional adult? How does it help us not repeat the same mistakes? And to build ourselves forward is our responsibility once we get to a certain age. The other thing I will say, Rachel just said that she's 29 and it's only been within the last 6 months or less that she's gotten to a point where she's happy with who she is. So what I will say is what happened less than 6 months ago is all of this going down, all of this appalling apology, all of this hate on the internet, and perhaps she's done some growth in being able to handle criticism, which would be a good growth thing to have for sure. But basically what we're hearing is this mean girl, manipulative, close-minded, highly ignorant person is who she's happy with being. Now, look, I'm not going to judge somebody for who they decide to be. I think that we all have a right to be who we are in our own way, so long as we're not hurting anybody else. Although I might make an argument that perhaps Rachel is hurting somebody by doing this. And I think the fact that she makes this statement really highlights how young mentally, experience-wise, she really is, because she doesn't even know what she doesn't know. And any one of you sitting there watching this who's lived, like properly lived, will be sitting there seeing the same thing, I'm sure. You don't know what you don't know, Rachel. You don't even know where to start.
On some level, Emily must have wanted some kind of attention and or clout. Emily allowed that. Emily wanted to be on Amber's channel, so she obviously did want the attention in a certain kind of way. And if she really wanted to be away from it and get away from it, she would delete all her socials, never speak to another reaction channel ever again, and that would be that. The problem is she's pussyfooted. She's done a bit of this, a bit of that. She's gone in and out and in and out and in and out. And now she's fair game. The stuff she told me, for her to then turn around and get back with Amber is embarrassing. It's crazy. The stuff we've all seen, you know, the videos, the messages and all of that. The fact that Emily shared all of that meant that she chose this, you know, she put herself in this situation.
Why does that matter? It's her life. She's a grown-ass adult. Amber's a grown-ass adult. I have some thoughts when it comes to Emily's child and the conduct of all of this, but if we're just taking Emily as a grown-ass adult, why does it matter? Why does this matter, Rachel? Why is this so passionately being delivered? Why is it so critical and objectively fact that they need to break up? Why is that?
You reply to the email of a reaction channel, what do you fucking expect? You can't play with the fire of Girl World and then be surprised when you get burned, and that applies to everyone, all of us. We inserted ourselves into this life, so people being mad at us and talking about us or whatever the fuck, we chose it. Like, yeah, we chose it. So you can't be annoyed people are talking about you when you put yourself in the situation. I made that video yesterday knowing it was going to piss Amber off, and I was fine with that. I knew there were going to be people who watch that and be like, well, fuck you, why have you spoken to Emily? Why did you email Emily? You know people are going to have different opinions about you. But you still choose it, right? If I wanted this to all stop, I would just close my camera, close my laptop, and go and do my jigsaw puzzle and never talk about Girl World ever again. But you keep inserting yourself, you keep choosing it.
I take that as consent to speak about Rachel. It is true. You do get into it, and you can't get on the internet and talk about people without thinking that at some point they're also going to speak about you, whether it's just in the comments or whether it's actual, you know, reaction channels reacting to you. But I do agree with what she's saying there. I think the attention and the drama of this is somewhat of a currency for Emily. It's clearly not a financial one, although she did ask for payment from Rachel. The reason why I think it's not financial is because she could have absolutely started her own YouTube channel and made bank. Like, who wouldn't have watched that? the money doesn't seem to be the driving factor, although it might be nice to some degree. It's not the driving factor. The getting in and talking to people behind people's backs and being all sneaky and getting the attention, and maybe even watching people talk about her, maybe watching people react and speculate and things like that, that must be part of it for her. And she is absolutely choosing it. I highly disagree with her choosing it because of her child. I think when you're a parent, you just don't get to make those kinds of decisions without factoring those around you that you're also going to impact. But yeah, Emily's definitely in this for clout's the wrong word. Attention's the wrong word too. I think it's the whole thing. It's the whole song and dance, the whole theatrical performance of it. Does anyone have a word that I'm looking for here that encompasses everything? Yeah, it's something. Emily is a layered individual, like an onion.
Okay, so I'm not going to watch the last minute. That's the end of that live stream. We'll leave that there. However, after this live stream ended on YouTube, the live that was happening on Kick, because they stream on Kick and YouTube at the same time, allegedly they accidentally left the Kick live stream going, and then they used this call to have a conversation. So in my next video, I'm going to go in and react to that 18-minute video where they claim that they didn't even know they were still live.
Now, I also covered this totally leaked. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see me. I need my chukin to do air quotes. Totally leaked footage I covered in my last live, and that was under Snow Bear's video. So if you want to go watch my thoughts on that, I will sum it up very briefly that I absolutely do not think that in any way technically this could have been an accident based on the way the programs we believe they're using work. I think it would have had to have been a deliberate act. It's not like you go and close every single platform that you're streaming on one at a time and you accidentally miss one. It's a button that closes them all. It would be the opposite, a deliberate action to actually leave one up. It's a separate thing. So no, I don't think this was an accident. I believe Keen was in on it. I believe Tech was in on it. I do suspect that Amber didn't know, though. I think this was very, mean girl-esque, calling somebody but not telling somebody that there's also a third person on the line and baiting them to talk shit while they're listening and then revealing it for the drama. Yeah, that's what I think it is. So basically, Amber just continued to stand her ground, which I think she should. If she's that hell-bent on it, absolutely stand your ground. And I think that Keem is angling at a manipulation there. I think there's more to come. And yeah, go watch that though if you're interested in what I have to say. It was a very interesting segment. I was hoping to do Amber's crash out because it is linked to all of this, but I think it's going to need to be another video. But yeah, tell me what you think about this, because I think that just like Amber, Rachel always tells on herself and her takes are sometimes very, very naive, and hopefully she's not causing any harm out there to anybody who is going to hear this and apply it to themselves. And hopefully if they find my video and feel a bit more validated. I don't know. I just hope that kind of thing is not being put out into the world to the wrong person. But let me know what you think about this. And if you're still here listening, thank you so much. I appreciate you. This is a very long video. Can you please comment never-ending nuggets so that I can give you nugget points? I would appreciate that. And Freddie's here to say goodbye too. And an extra big thank you to all of my clockers who support on YouTube memberships and on Patreon. And don't forget, there's a free crochet pattern over on Patreon now. You don't even need a login to access it. You could just grab it and make your own little tiny Vera. But no, thank you so much to everybody who supports you. You are just absolutely wonderful. I cannot express with words. But that is all the clocks I have left to give. Stay golden, my little nuggets, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey! I'm gonna go watch another video. Let's go!